How nice to see you here. I'm William Gallagher, and this is 58 Keys Live. It's live. That's why it's called live. Look at the quality of information you're getting here already. But the difference between this and the regular 58 Keys, the pre-recorded stuff where I natter on, well, it's there, but still, 58 Keys, either version, it's there for you. It's exclusively, forever, always for writers. Okay, so it's actually explicitly writers like you and me who use and who write on Macs, on iPhones, and iPads, and possibly missed a bit shaving a few moments ago. I may be projecting there. Okay, you're looking very good, and I think you're looking very clever, which puts you one ahead of me because I'm about to confess to something. I think I can claw it back afterwards. But here's the thing: 58 Keys Live. There has to be a point. I just, I can't just wibble on at you for nothing. So we have a point. It's in the title. This time it's something about backups. Something about backups. I mean, have I planned this or what? Yes. It's about backups. But I think, yeah, it's not like we'll ignore the topic of backups. I mean, it's important. I have just lost something important. So a little bit. Mark, a little late maybe, but he's back. Oh, interesting. It was like late coming live because the little worry thing was going round and round, Fraser. Actually, it's making me slightly dizzy. But okay, well, we're here now. And what I would like, please, Mark, especially you, particularly you, given that I know you so well through this, I want your help in starting off very serious, very soberly, very professionally, talking about backups as an important part of our writing lives. And then as soon as possible, like as fast as we can, kind of descend into writerly chaos and talk about anything at all we like for the hour. Does that sound bad or does that sound irresponsible? Teresa, you're here as well. Teresa, you recently got a new iMac, didn't you? You've probably never lost a single thing at all, have you? Right. I'm kind of looking at you there and the sheepish look in your face there. Mark, I think, is going, how about I tell you my terrible story? I'm going to sound like an idiot, actually, if I sound idiot. Of course you want to hear that one. Okay. Darren, hello. Nice to see you here too. Did you miss the bit just a second ago where I said I was going to sound like an idiot? I feel I've just repeated that just in case you didn't. That's important, William. Focus on the highlights here. The thing is, this story it's barely a story. It's slightly confusing, but it's what put me in mind of doing backups this time. Teresa, yes, rescue me. You want to talk about backup? Okay, I thought you were going to rescue me there. I don't think I want. You don't want to do it anymore. You're going to depend on iCloud, no external drives. Right. That's a little tricky. Why is that a little tricky? How about we think for a moment about why that's a little tricky, and if we can just hang on long enough, you never get to hear my story. You go away thinking whatever you think of me right now. You don't have an extra added impression of idiocy there. I might also now be overselling the idiocy. It's probably going to come in somewhere in the middle. The problem with iCloud, iCloud, Dropbox, I presume OneDrive. They are these brilliant services we use. We get some of it for free. We pay for some of it if we need to. But in any case, it's there for whatever we're doing on whatever our devices are. We know that if I save a document in Pages, it's really saved. Somebody steals my iPad, well, I mean, I'm not going to be relaxed about it, and there's the small matter of trying to replace it or convincing insurance or anything like that. Yes, I was working on the breach officer, but apart from the physical hard pain of paying, the one thing we know is that when we get a new iPad, a new device, that Pages document is going to be there. That is brilliant. But Darren's got it exactly what I was going to say next. If you delete on your file machine, it will also be deleted from the cloud service. Oh, don't ask how I know this. I want to ask how you know it. I think I have an idea. This is the thing, it worries me. I love iCloud. I use it a lot. I am not using enough backups locally. Tracy, you mentioned external drives. I don't know if you can see them. I have 4 external drives, none of which are plugged in. 2 of which are definitely backups from a couple of years ago, but I can't remember which had which for it. I do have a saving grace. Don't let me leave without telling you my saving grace out of all of this. But the one thing is, I do not use iCloud or Dropbox or OneDrive as a backup repository for exactly the reason Darren just said. It's not for backup, it's for syncing. Do you know the way I said that? It sounded like I said it with an I. I could hear my voice dropping there, syncing with a Y, so that you can just turn to whichever device is nearest you and carry on with the next thought. I've actually done this. I started a sentence downstairs in my kitchen, waiting for the kettle to boil, and I didn't finish the sentence. I mean, it was difficult. There was long words, everything. Made a cup of tea, come up here and sat at this Mac and wrote the last 3 words of the sentence. And yeah, I could have just spent the time getting a biscuit, I suppose, really. But the fact is, not only can you do that, and I've been doing this long enough to find that fantastic, but I also knew that I could do it. This is on my mind, write it down on whatever screen is nearby, carry on as soon as you can. That's what iCloud is for. I get confused as well about photographs. iCloud's very good at copying your photographs from your phone to your Macs and your iPads and things, but I get really lost on that. So if you understand photos on iCloud, I'd be grateful. But as for data and documents and things like that, it isn't safe. I'm wondering if one of the problems I had this week was that I did delete something off iCloud on iPad. I was trying to save some room somewhere. Oh, hello, huge. You got me. Oh, excuse me. Thank you for getting to the OmniFocus. Oh, OmniFocus. Can I tell you this? Oh, why not? It's just you and me, isn't it? I've been asked to be on the Omni Show, their podcast, recording tomorrow. I don't know when it will go out or something, and I will get to infuse about not all of the OmniFocus products, because I still don't understand OmniGraphel, the graphics one, but there are the 3. They won't be able to shut me up for it. And I'm delighted to have brought you into that as well. Yeah, I seem to be avoiding your name there, but I'm sorry. It's because I'm rubbish at pronouncing it, and I'm trying to think of a funny word there, something like best human being in the world. Yeah, okay. So hello, thank you. Best human being in the world ever. Glad you're in OmniFocus. Oh, I missed one. Apple isn't a fan of the latter. I think I missed. Oh, was that when I mentioned OneDrive? By any chance? I don't like OneDrive. I think the first walled garden you get to, so Apple set up, Google set up, Microsoft's, Oracle's, there must be others. The first one you get to, that seems fine because that's where you're putting everything. And then the barriers you have to get through to go into another one just make them all seem like rubbish. I had to install, I'm reviewing an ebook reader that's really an Android tablet. And so just getting through the nonsense of the Google Play Store, when I'm sure it's exactly the same as Apple's App Store, it's just what you get used to for it. Mark, you must still be backing up. Okay, right. Do I have Twitter or such? Yes, actually, can I chat and do this? I don't see one. If I click here, excuse me for a moment. Reasonably sure that that's my Twitter handle, although it seemed to be a bit blurry today. Not enough tea. OneDrive, I'm not keen on. Google Drive, fine, whatever. Google just keeps canceling everything. Can you trust them? But all of them, the point is they are syncing. And I think I've over made a point now in this attempt to delay what's going on. iCloud, all of them, have them, use them, rely on them, but don't rely on them totally. Have something else, at least one other thing else. And the obvious one to start with is Apple's own Time Machine. You plug in a drive into your Mac, and the Mac goes, Time Machine, fancy it, back things up, and you go, yeah, all right, why not? I wasn't going to put anything else on there. I've just spent £150 on a hard drive. Oh, I didn't buy it for any purpose. You plug it, and then every now and again, I mean, constantly, really, the Mac backs up everything to your Time Machine, and then when you want it back, that's when you find out why it's called a Time Machine, because you go into it, you see the state of your Mac is now, and you kind of scroll back to the state it was an hour ago, the state it was yesterday, and then you find you deleted that file on Thursday, and you just pull it out and back up to the front end. iDrive for iCloud storage. That's what I used. No, I'm thinking of iDisk. I don't know what iDrive is. Can you tell me more about that? You do Time Machine over a network. Do you know? I never thought of network connected Time machine. Doesn't that mean other people are using it as well? So is it a big time machine? And I was wondering the size of the drive, who's relying on it. Sorry, you just saw me hesitate there. Have you got time for a really quick story? Well, the more I think about it, the faster I could be through the story. So let's just say yes. Tell you what, glaze over if you've heard this bit, but previously on Apple, would have been 1998, somewhere around that. Steve Jobs has left Apple or been booted out or been fired. Choose the story you like. And then he came back. And when he came back in, well, one of the things he did was he killed off a ton of stuff. I remember some of this. I went to press conferences announcing the great big thing that was just killed a few weeks later. And it was necessary. Companies in trouble. You had to focus. What can we do? What can't you do? But left a lot of people upset. And Steve Jobs, instead of doing, one of those annual WWDC, the Worldwide Developers Conference, big presentations that he used to be famous for, he did what was called a fireside chat. I think it was 98. There's a chance it was 97. Forgive me, somewhere around there. And he mostly sits on the stage on a little stool and talks to the developers who are blood angry that he has cancelled this, and that. He says he's sorry, but he's clearly not going to backtrack on anything, and he's actually very persuasive about the reasons why. If you put your heart and soul in that for 2 years, you're not going to go away happy, but you'd go away understanding. And I think I really liked, and the reason this has come back to me is, there it was, late 90s, and he described his computing situation as it was. Not so much then at Apple, but what it was like in his own company next. And he asked the audience for about 300, I think, somewhere like that. When was the last time you backed up? And a few sheepish hands were going up for yesterday or whatever. When have you last lost a thing? And he pointed out that he had not backed up anything at all whatsoever it was a number of years. I want to say 5 or 6 years, hadn't once backed up a single thing. And he had never lost a pixel. Nothing was gone. And he had machines then at Apple, but also next at home, across all his machines, everything. Nothing was backed up, nothing was lost, because Next spent a lot of money on doing, well, basically that, having a network time machine that everybody's machine was backed up to. And he said, yes, it's expensive, and also they actually had to employ somebody to make sure it worked all the time. But that benefit then is what we now have 20 years later. We just have to do a bit of the management ourselves. I'm missing something yet. Oh yeah, wife, sister, etc. Would love to tell more if needed. Similar to time capsule. Now, oh good grief, Apple's old time capsule. Whoa! You built this one using Unix. Am I allowed to do that? I learned Unix once for a day or something, and you never forget it. That's exactly how you use your computer over the network. Your family employed you. Okay, I recognize that a little bit. Time machine, great thing, needs an external drive. And now I learned can be done over a network when there's loads of you. Great, but there are alternatives. Those 4 drives of mine, I said 2 of them had backups. I manually copied everything over. And it was necessary at the time. It was on my old iMac. It was falling apart. I didn't think it was going to survive. I needed a copy of everything. So it was like an emergency rush job. And then you know what it's like. The thing that's going wrong doesn't go wrong, and you keep limping on with it for another year. And suddenly you're thinking, this is going to go wrong now. So you back it up again. And that's why there are at least 2 drives, the majority of which are the same. I keep meaning to plug one in and write down somewhere what I've got on it, and then copy things over. Synology, Gordon. I know a lot of people used to use Synology, but I just haven't heard it mentioned a lot recently. Would you mind explaining in the chat what you use it for? And I'll basically steal from you. Mark, you cleared part of your schedule for this. Okay, hang on. More serious now. Actually, Mark, you were supposed to be doing this with me. Very serious stuff. Time machine, yes, very good. Time capsule. Oh, I'd forgotten about it and it no longer exists, but fond memories. Where did we get to with the backing up? thing, the external drives thing. I'm intending to do a map of my drives to see what's on where, and then deliberately copy everything onto 2 drives. There used to be this phrase that nothing digital exists unless it's in 2 places, and I think that makes some sense for it. It's such a slog, isn't it? Whereas with Time Machine, it'll go off, and also my saving grace. But I think Mark's going to rescue me from my story. I was about to say this idiot thing I did, carbon copy cloner. Yeah, Mark, great recommendation. In fact, I've got a copy somewhere, but something changed, didn't it, with the Mac? And when we went to Apple Silicon, I don't know if Carbon Copy Cloner is now on top of that, but there was a difference. Think about Carbon Copy Cloner, CCC, makes an exact copy of your drive, but an exact copy of your drive. So if your machine dies, the drive is gone, you plug in the carbon copied cloned drive and your Mac starts up from that. Might be a bit slower because it's external instead of internal, but it'll work and you just carry on straight as you are. That was one of the advantages of Carbon Copy Cloner, as well as just having a backup. And there have been problems with that. In fact, actually, just between us today, I was asked to write an article about how to create external bootable drives. And I went, yeah, gotta look that up. Anyway, Mark has it on both your MacBooks. Is working fine, so I must be wrong. 2 copies, two formats, 2 offsites, 3, 2, 1. I was wondering about whether to say this, the grandfather, father, son sequence, it used to be called. That does seem a bit, male now, really, but I prefer 3, 2, 1. No, I don't, because I'm sorry, if you're old enough and you're in the UK, 3, 2, 1 was a game show. It was on TV here. It was famous for the most astoundingly difficult questions. My first is in chocolate, but my left is in Albuquerque. And basically everybody ended up with a bin at the end as a prize for it. So I'm just person, relative, other one, do it. No, it has to be 3, 2, 1, doesn't it? Let me explain 3, 2, 1 in case you're looking at me and thinking I've gone as mad as those questions. Once a day, you back up everything. Fine. Once a week, you back up that backup. Once a month, you back up that weekly backup. And ideally, the weekly or the monthly one, you store somewhere else. So not in your own place, not in your own office. You give to a friend and things like that. The idea being that if your machine goes down, well, hopefully the backup today has just happened and you've only lost a little bit. If it went down, a bit longer, well, okay, you've lost a week, but better than losing everything. And if somebody comes in, nicks your Mac, takes all your backup drives, but the grandfather one is still at your mother's or something, at least your major files and applications are retrievable, depending on how you get on with your mother, I suppose. Wait, I'm missing questions here. Steve, hello. You've 3 or 4 tech people, the same rule, 3 copies, 2 formats. The format one's bothering me. I don't know what they are. I just copy things. Okay. Then the NAS gets backed up to Synology. Right, hang on, I'm missing part 1 of Synology. There we go. So Gordon, you keep most of your work on a NAS, network attached storage, which makes it, easy to use on Mac PC or Linux. Mac PC or Linux. I'm just going to stop after Mac, I think, or even iPad. Okay, come back to iPads as well. Local data, video work files. Yeah, aren't video files a problem? Was for me this week. Steve saying you have 3. Gordon, Gordon saying NAS gets backed up to Synology. If it's not a personal question, can I ask how expensive Synology is? As I understand it, please correct me if I'm wrong, Synology and other network attached storage, you basically buy a box. Slight oversimplification there. And you plug in a pile of drives. So the box is expensive, and then the hard drives for backups are expensive as well. Carl saying you'll have to rewind. Okay, Carl, I kept it boring as I could until right now. Please don't everybody agree with me in the chat there. Maybe this wasn't a good time for a stream. Mark, what are you trying to tell me here? Did I not comb my hair for a little bit? And Tony, last year onwards, macOS will not allow booting on an external drive. Carbon copy does an incremental copy of your files on your own local drive. Right. That's, I mean, that's better phrase than I was thinking, but that's kind of what I was thinking about it. But if it's working for some people, 3, 2, 1. So 3 ounces of single malt, 2 hands, 1 bag of crisps. I think you're being a bit facetious there. Mind you, right at the very, very start, I did say, please descend into chaos. And sure, well, there you go, done. Right. And now Steve's trying to beat that with 3 dogs, 2 well-behaved, 1 favorite. So wait a minute, the favorite is not the one that's well behaved. Thank you, Carl. It's pretty reasonable considering. Yeah, that's, I mean, I buy drives and things during Amazon Prime Day and things, and instead of buying the 4 totally different ones, I suppose I should have spent the money on 4 that were the same capacity, the same connectors, bung them in as an odd things. You're now making me worry about that. So saving grace. I have a saving grace. I'm going to keep putting that away. What time are we? Okay, the 3, 2, 1 club. What have you all started here? I mean, I'll just watch, basically. Grandfather, father, son, 3, 2, 1. Stuff. Never going to be able to think about this now without thinking of you, but okay. Aim is get something backed up. The trouble is, it's all a bit of a faff, isn't it? I mean, you get to the end of a writing day and you got to remember to plug in a drive and then plug it out again and then wait and then plug the next one in. And then you got to go off to whoever it is that you're asking to store. I mean, I suppose you could just put it in a storage locker or something, spend money doing that as well. But as an excuse to meet friends, we're writers, we don't get out enough. Let's do it that way. Let's find a friend we trust a lot and encrypt our drives and then make it a regular thing, a regular cup of tea, a regular drink with them. And maybe they can do the same back and we can feel like we're getting on with things when actually we're just gassing away over a drink. They have several models of NAS with different capacities to fit budgets. Okay, it's a few years since I looked into them and it was all way out of my budget then, but I wasn't actually doing as much data creation. Is that the phrase? I didn't have as much to shove around a little bit, so maybe I should look back at this again. Mark will catch a replay. Okay. Mark, I hope everything's okay. I feel like I've either driven you away or the connection's really rubbish because you saw the late start thing and I couldn't see why that was happening. You got my details. Let me know how things are going on and I'll speak to you separately sometime. But in the meantime, you go. Right now, 3, 2, 1 club. Oh no, this is serious. This is genuine. 3, 2, 1 club can host backup drive exchange nights. Yeah, I think I preferred it when you weren't serious. That's all. You're going all practical now. Is that what we want? Because we're writers. Are we? Do we have to be practical? Yeah, because kind of our. I was going to say our livelihoods depend on this, and it just depends if you have other jobs and things. But in some ways, I don't want to get over the top about this, but kind of your life depends on it. In a way, I just reread the script of Misery, William Goldman's script of Stephen King's book, and I don't think this spoils a major point, but there are 2 book manuscripts that are destroyed in it, and typewritten books up in flames. It's just absolutely horrible. Who's the really famous writer who left a satchel, a briefcase, or something on a train, and with the manuscript in it, and was never able to convince himself he could write that well again, or something like that? Steve, right? Oh, you've got a general purpose print shop 2 doors down up the street. You email everything at the end of every day. They print it all out. I pay for books myself. Now that, do you know? I mean, Steve runs this great YouTube channel about books and things. So kind of print books. It feels right that you do that. Hemingway, thank you very much. A suitcase loaded with manuscripts. God, can you imagine? I mean, I feel bad over what I lost this week, but it's trivial. And I nearly told you what it was. But actually, Steve, you give me an excuse for another delay. I was saying that all of this backing up by plugging in a drive, it's a bit of a chore. I mean, Time Machine just keeps doing it anyway. Fine. But these other things, most of them involve at least making some effort, broadly pressing a button or something. It's arduous, but enough of an effort that you have to do it. And since you have to do it, there are times when you won't, and all this kind of thing. I used to email myself everything every day, but more than every day. When if I had to go to another job or something, I'd finish what I was doing, I'd email me the latest draft. So if I was working on a script, over time, there could be 70 emails that it's backed up in. Uh, Alanis Morissette got mugged and lost much of. Oh, wow. Okay. Yes, I got mugged once, but I didn't actually lose anything except my dignity at the time because he was just pathetic. Anyway, um, I used to email everything. In fact, I loved this. I was smug about this. I created a Gmail address, okay? And I won't tell you what it is because I wouldn't tell anybody what it is. This was a Gmail private email address only for me. In fact, it was rigged. You know, Gmail has all these rules and things. It was rigged so that if any email came in that was not actually sent from that same email address, so from me, delete it straight away. So I would get on and I would email myself draft 70, scene 80, whatever it was, right? And over time, after about a year, 18 months or so, you'd go into the inbox and there I actually felt you were progressing and things. You could see the list of things. And then you could see, script finished version, and then all right, it isn't finished, draft 2, draft 10, whatever, but a definite sense of accomplishment. But it's Google, isn't it? No one was given that email address, and no email that I didn't send to myself from that account to that account, none of it was allowed to survive in the inbox. It was all deleted instantly using Gmail's great rules. Was it hell? Suddenly, everything was spam over there. Google just decided to let in some spam. And it also told some people my email address because I got a really bitchy, angry conversation with somebody once saying, I'm constantly emailing you, offering you work, and you never reply. Well, they were emailing the Google address that was deleting and stuff. And I had you calm, calm, calm. Don't forget Sir Walter Scott when he lost everything, he said he'd rewrite and didn't make it better with this hand, he said, and he did it. Do I admire it or hate him? Let's go somewhere in the middle. There. Sean needs to head off to deal with your dog. Oh, right. I hope your dog's okay. Just share your personal backup strategy. Two time machines, no waiting. Backup on the hour. Super duper, which is very similar to carbon copy cloner. Actually, there are three, aren't there? Carbon copy cloner, super duper, who could forget that name? And there's a third one that I've forgotten. Super duper runs every evening, and Arc, okay, that runs every night, backing up to encrypted cloud storage. I'm actually, I'm almost glad you're going before you hear the nonsense that I did this week. But saving grace, can I just keep saying that? Okay, Darren, my saving grace is Backblaze. You've just said it in there. How to explain Backblaze? Previously on backing up, there used to be loads of companies that did this, and they did them for businesses, they did them for individuals like me. I mean, I run a business, but like one-man band thing, they did it for me in corporations, and then slowly they just realized they were not going to get enough money out of a writer, so they all stopped doing it except Backblaze. So Backblaze is still working. I've been using for 10 years, something like that. And what Backblaze does is, well, you'll never guess, backs everything up, really. Okay, I know I mentioned it before, but I've got to mention free file sync again. I'm sorry, I missed you saying that before. A friend, also a writer, has been using it for years and swears by it. Really good if you want. Oh, okay. No, check the name again. Free file sync. Okay, I'll look into that. Thank you. I realize this is a live stream, so we're all here, but it does get recorded and it goes out on YouTube. I'll put together links for some of these things and bung them on there. I mean, for me as much as for you. And free file sync will be one of them. Free file sync. Get that in my head. What was I saying just before that? Backblaze. Backblaze. It backs up all the time. I mean, since we've been talking, I don't think anything's changed on this Mac. It's not rendering any videos. It's not saving out any large files. But just before we started talking, I'm editing a magazine, and I just edited. It's quite a complicated article somebody wrote, and just to get into magazine format so that it would look nice on the page, so that it was readable in chunks and all sorts of things, editing stuff. I did all that, and then I just saved it on the Mac drive, and I turned around to talk to you. I think I did that 2 or 3 minutes before we began talking, and I know that in that 2 or 3 minutes, Backblaze took a copy of it. It is there all the time, backing up everything new to the cloud, I suppose. Well, yes, of course, the cloud. Backup servers. Who has the faintest idea where? So, on the good side, I don't quote me on this, 'cause it might be wrong. I think I spend about £50 a year on this. I do it with a couple of things, so it might be 100 for it. It's lower than I would have expected for a constant backup thing. And I've got a drive over there with about 6 terabytes of DVDs I've ripped and things, and it's backed up all of those as well. It's backing up constantly, so that's the great thing. I don't have to think about it. I know it's just doing it. And yeah, if I switch off the Mac at the end of the day, I never switch the Mac off, really, because I'm always popping back into something else. But should I switch it off at the end of the day, well, then when I opened up tomorrow, it'll just carry on backing up. And I could look at it and see what's it backed up today, but you never do. You just let it go. All the good stuff. There you go. I mean, the money for what it is, I think incredibly good value. The fact that it's constantly backing up everything, brilliant. I should say, I mentioned an external drive. I've got 4 drives behind me that aren't plugged in. Nothing goes on with them, of course, because they're not plugged in. That drive with the movies on is it's permanently connected to the Mac. So as far as Backblaze is concerned, it's part of that Mac, and it backs it up. If I plugged in all 4 drives and I left them plugged in all the time, it would back up all of them. There's no limit on how much it backs up for you. So I've got at least 8 terabytes worth of data backing up to Backblaze all the time. Okay, so another great thing, all your external drives, as long as they're permanently connected, you can't keep swapping them in and out, but I tend not to do that. So external drives, internal drives, all your data, everything. Doesn't do the carbon copy clone roll thing of creating a boot disk. It is purely a copy of your data, but that's all I really care about, what I'm writing, what I'm creating, and films that I haven't caught up with yet. Okay. The bad stuff. The first time you start Backblaze and you sign up and it goes, right then, where's your, oh my God, 8 terabytes of data. I remember I started this a long time ago. Okay. I started this before Wi-Fi was really coming. I mean, God, how old would I sound? Basically, I had a phone line and I would plug in. That's how we did the internet in the olden days. And Backblaze, on the first day I ran it, calculated the data I had, excluding that drive's new, the external one, and it said, backing up one of 80 billion bytes, whatever it was, estimated duration, time to everything being backed up, 1 year, 2 months. That's how slow my internet connection was. So I'm missing something. William, how do you do OmniFocus if you write your tasks in OmniFocus, but your customer has their own task management system as well? Well, short answer, because I Sodom, really. I have one client that needs me to use Trello, but usually that's them telling me things, and I accept it in Trello and I put it into OmniFocus for me. I've created OmniPlan project plans for other people, but then they didn't do any of the work, so it didn't become an issue there. Come back to me on that one. Don't let me go without saying more on that one, because I think what I just said was true. It was a little bit flippant, but while I've got the backup story in my head, I want to explain. I can't leave you hanging thinking Backblaze takes 15 months or something to back up. You know, things are a lot faster now. I have very fast internet. If I was starting today, it'd still be a noticeable amount of time. Like, it wouldn't be a day, but it wouldn't be 15 months either. It would be a lot faster. Should you need it to be immediate, you can borrow a hard drive from Backblaze. They send you a drive. There must be a fee. I don't know what it is, but you plug it into your Mac, you copy everything onto it, and you send them back the drive, and they put it on their systems, and it's as if it's all uploaded to you. And then same the other way around. If you lose everything, you can, phone up Backblaze, because you couldn't email, could you? Because your machine's gone, but you could phone them up, and they would send you a hard drive with all of your data on it, and you copy it off onto a new machine. You send back the drive, so it can be instant. I've never had to use any of that. I've also only very rarely in 10 years, a dozen times have I actually gone into backblaze.com's server and looked for what a missing file and copied out. But those 12 times were all very important, including this week. Is it time to tell you this week's story? It's 25 to 8 here in the UK. If I just talk for another 25 minutes, I'll escape telling you because Mark's already stolen the saving grace thing. I was going to swoop in with Backblaze there. That actually, I'm not stupid. I'm smart. I've got that. Carl, you're rescuing me. Shipping hard drives. I guess it's hard to underestimate the bandwidth of a Chevy loaded. Yes. Okay, you say that as a joke, but I think I'm not certain of this. Maybe you're just giving me a story idea here, but I'm almost certain that there is an option with Backblaze to have a truck sent to your company. I mean, it wouldn't be for somebody like me. 8 terabytes, it seems a lot, but if you've got petabytes of drive data in somewhere, they'll send the van round and copy it all over. Oh, that's a heist plot right there, isn't it? We've got a heist. Oh, right. How do we steal the van? Can you copy from the van as it's going along? Okay. Back in the day, we did actually drive tapes. Good. Now, come on. You've seen that on an ancient YouTube video. No, you didn't. You didn't. I used punched card for an afternoon. Once. Glad I told you that one. Amazon has a service called the Snowmobile for shipping large databases. Do you know, I'm absolutely totally wrong. It isn't Backblaze. It's Amazon I'm thinking of, because Snowmobile is an unforgettable name that I just managed to forget. I've also forgotten why it's called Snowmobile. It's something to do with snow being the name of a slower version, isn't it? Well, Gordon, I've got to say, you're looking good for your age there. Yeah. Carl, do you know the rest of the Snowmobile story? We've all got to go look it up afterwards, I'm sure, because it's fun. Customer in petabyte scale now. Whoa, you had to build a disk array, copy, move to a location, restore, I think, and you've done it, as in past tense. It's over. That sounds like to the end of time. There's a gorgeous thing. I may have mentioned this before in a 58 Keys. Forgive me if you already know this, but there's a podcast called Acquired, which is really, really long, like 4-hour episodes about particular companies. And one of them I listened to, I thought I was actually riveted to, was the history of Visa. And there's a point in Visa's history when all of their data was on one computer, and it was hilarious, because they were quoting some sort of memo that one of the Visa engineers had pointed out to management, and it was just this cascade of things. It's one server in a wooden house next to a river that floods, by an overpass where there have been accidents before, and we're in, I don't know, lightning territory or something. Could we please make a copy somewhere? And actually they did. They made a copy in a completely different state and created the kind of things we have now, where data is copied everywhere. Who would have thought data could be fascinating? I'm really hoping you do, or I'm just boring it. You can even use VHS tapes if you're desperate enough. I have a lot of VHS tapes. I don't have a VHS player anymore. Tell me more. Some companies still use tape drives to this day. I can imagine that because isn't it Japan that's the Japanese government has only just decided that's it, enough of floppy disks after all these years. Things I have a box of floppy disks up there, and I'm convinced some of my best writing is on there. But who's got a floppy drive anymore? Anyway, more's coming. Phone companies have huge data stores too, with robotic tape handlers. You know what I'm thinking now, don't you? There's something about that construction of those robotic tape handlers who are robots, or handlers who handle robotic tapes. And basically, we've got the heist story. I'm building up the characters now. Very high capacity, are still cost effective for massive. Yeah, I can imagine that. It's just, isn't it all going to vanish if we have a big electromagnetic pulse from the sun or something? Well, that got. I wanted this to start serious and descend into chaos, but this is not what I meant at all. Look, I'm just going to tell you my story. I don't know how much you can see of this. Hopefully, not much. But this back here, ignore the clock. This is Final Cut Pro. And you can see a timeline here just about and some bits over it. The bits over it are the titles that appear on 58 keys. One says my name, things like that. And the stuff underneath it is the opening spring and the ending bit. What's missing is the stuff right in the middle, which is the entire episode. I managed to lose a 58 keys episode this week. Pause for sympathy. You're a hard-bitten lot, aren't you? Because you've lost things as well. Some large UK law firms still back up to tape as it's perceived as safe as regards to data theft. I suppose it is. How many thieves have tape drives? Okay, that's interesting. You're not being sympathetic to me, but you know, it's all right. It's fine. It's only my life's work. Can't. Thing is, of all the 58 keys episodes to lose, this kind of was the best one. About how long ago was May? However long ago May was. There's a Patreon for 58 keys, and we do writing sprints and things, and Carl's and writing sprint, and it's just enormous fun. But one of the things on occasion is there's an exclusive video, and because I've got to stress this through, I was asked to do this. Robert Green, Patreon member, asked me to do this, to do a kind of making of 58 keys. What's the gear you use to do this? I mean, he does interviews, he does far fancier equipment, but he wanted to see what I was doing, and I was egotistical enough to go, that sounds good. So I made a 58 keys video just for Patreon members that was about it. And I was a bit up myself in it, to be fair. Hey, you too should be shooting on this, or yeah. But it was all right, really. And there was a good gag in it. And I thought, you can't waste a good gag. So the next week, I redid it. Couldn't share the Patreon version again because, well, I mean, some of it was about Patreon and all this stuff. So I wanted to do a new one, a fresh one, but it's broadly the same thing because things were broadly the same, what I use where. Did it all. And I kind of edited it together, but these live things, they're now the first Wednesday of every month. And just about that time, there was a live one. And there was something about, I mean, you're a writer, you get this, you know that something is totally different, but the tone is the same. There's something too similar in it. And I felt an hour just sitting here talking to you, then the next week being me pretty much just talking to you and showing you a MacBook or something. They were too close. So I pushed it off a week and then another week. And then something else happened. It was another live one. And so basically since May, this footage has been lying on my iPad and lying on the Mac behind me. Except at some point I ran out of space. Final Cut Pro that I was editing on was just getting slower and slower. I looked into it. I was down to, I don't know, how do you measure space? Like a gram of spare space for it. And I just had to delete things. And yep, you got it. I deleted the whole thing. Still no sympathy. Yeah, I mean, it was thick, wasn't it, really? I should have a proper process for saving these things and remembering what's coming up. There's a lot of 58 Keys episodes coming up that I've already filmed bits for as they were happening. So I think I've kept those. Yeah. Wonder what I'm doing right after we've talked. With this one, it was all gone, but I did get it back. The thing is, it would be very good now to be able to say to you, I got it back from Backblaze. The truth is, I haven't the single thinnest clue how I got it back. Because, I mean, I have the Mac Mini behind me. There's a MacBook Pro next, which is my main editing machine. But I have been editing on Final Cut Pro for iPad, and I like that very much. I enormously like that. So I had been editing on there, and then for the last bits that the iPad can't do, sending it off to the Mac. I was looking through the iPad, and it wasn't in Final Cut Pro, but it was in the Files app. There was the uncut footage. So, I mean, there were still edits to remake and things, and I have permanently lost some of the things that I wanted to show you. So, I mean, last week's 58 Keys is about the Stream Deck, but I do use it. So, you know, there's a shot of this thing behind me. All the shots of that kind of thing in action, gone. And I don't know where, and I don't know how. And I can't seem to find them on Backblaze, which is a little bit worrying. But I've recreated that whole episode, and you'll be glad to know it's actually going out tomorrow night. It's like a 58 Keys extra. I'm still up myself in it. It still tells you things it's how I happen to do things, and you've got your way. But I figure if I show you what I do, you can use the comment thing and show me what you do. I mean, Steve, for example, I've even been on your excellent Books YouTube show, and I've never asked you what equipment you use. Do you know, it sounds so dull, doesn't it? And yet I want to know in your case. Yeah. Anyway, so backing up is hard to do. But I tell you this, the moment that I lost it was awful. The moment when I found the great majority of it again was an enormous relief. And I think I actually, you know, I shook a little bit when I'd lost it. I mean, what if it had been something else that was really due to go out this week or next week, something that I couldn't just keep pushing off. I'm trying to be more careful now about this. I've already got procedures for when I record something, how I make sure that it's ready when I'm editing and things like that. Now I'm going to try to work out a procedure for backing it all up afterwards and things. Let's see. Suggestion. We'd love to hear you do writers ASMR. Hang on. Where have I? Oh, you don't know that yet. Oh, it's just you. I'll just tell you. A couple of days ago, I recorded a new 58 Keys. It's probably going to go out after all the new iPhone stuff, so maybe 3 or 4 weeks. It's more on using the iPad on the glass. There's like extra things to tell you. But in there, I mentioned there actually are, I didn't know this till then, ASMR videos with people just handwriting on the iPad. So the little noise, and it is ridiculously absorbing. Hadn't thought about doing one myself, but I will think about it. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, Darren, I missed some stuff there. Using your iPad to back up for Darren, I knew I liked you. Yeah, that was the plan. Yeah, thank you very much there. I had to go and do something as we were live. I would listen to almost at the time we've got some buffering issues. Why buffering issues? What's going on with that? Can you all let me know if you're getting buffering for this, because I believe I've removed, there were things like the first time I did a live one, adverts were suddenly inserted, and it would have been nice to know about that, but I figured it out and stopped them. If you're listening to the recording and there are adverts, sorry about that. I kind of might have put them back afterwards. Blog while listening to 58 Key. You blog while listening to, okay. Oh, good. No buffering. Thanks. Hides iPad with only 64 gigabytes. Everything's on the connection. Thank you. Okay. All right. Well, Trish, I'm going to worry about that because Mark was saying a similar thing right at the top, but I don't know what I can do about it. I'll just fret quietly in the corner a little bit. Actually, that thing about iPad with only 64 gigabytes, as part of the Patreon 58 Keys, there's a podcast every week. It's only a really short thing, you know. I mean, don't sign up to Patreon just for that. But if you are on Patreon, it's there every Monday morning. And in the last 2, I have babbled on about a thing called Lexar Professional Go, something like that. You see my little fingers? It's like this, that width, height, that thing, the smallest possible storage drive I think you can imagine, but it plugs into your phone. And you know, there are new iPhones coming out next week. If I upgrade, one of the concerns for me has been that I need quite a lot of storage space, and Apple, they're not cheap on anything, but they're especially costly on storage space. So if I bought an iPhone that had the storage I think I need, it would be a couple of £100 more than even that. But I spent, hang on, I spent a couple £100 on this. The couple £100 in this case gets me 2 terabytes, and I can plug it straight into the iPhone, film 58 keys directly onto it. And then this is the kicker for me. Take the drive out, plug it into my MacBook Pro, and copy things straight over. For some reason, and truly who knows why, AirDrop's been letting me down recently. You've done something on your iPhone, you tap AirDrop, and it just goes over to your machine. Great. But occasionally, it's no. And there's nothing you can do about it except come back tomorrow. I don't know why. And of course, there is a pattern to it. It happens when I really, really need to get something done quickly. So this drive, quite expensive outlay right now, but it'll mean I can buy a cheaper iPhone. And also it means I can do editing faster. I can move things around a little bit. So I suppose there's a backup element in there because I'll never remember to remove anything from it till it's full. But storage drive. When did we get onto storage? We're writers. We should be thinking about our words, not where they're saved, but we have to think about where we're saved. Mike, oh, hello. Nice to see you on there. No buffering in the USA West Coast. You had some buffering, a few hangs months ago when I watched your live stream for the first time, but none since then. Had you been naughty? Was YouTube in some way punishing you by not letting you see me? Let's not go there. I think I know what you're talking about. It's like a little I'm sorry, a little nub, that site almost almost flush with it. There are 2 parts to it. One is the driver just connects in the end. Well, it hasn't arrived yet, so I can't show you the example. Why was I looking around? Oh, because my phone's here. You can get a driver just plugs into the USB thing, but you can also get a hub that plugs into the USB thing, and then the drive sits on the back, plugs into it, and there are ports for other things. Like you see this wireless microphone. This wireless mic is currently plugged into my MacBook Pro because somebody said last time that the audio wasn't clear, and I thought this might help. But I can also plug the wireless mic receiver into here and just have a whole chain of them and it going one thing. So pretty nice. Lexar makes good devices. Great. I'm really glad you said that because I'd never heard of them before this. I backed a Kickstarter campaign because I was so tickled by this. Lexar had a goal of $7,000 or something, and they came just under $1 million, I think it was, by the end. I thought, well, people must have heard them. It sounds great for me. I'm missing something. AirDrop and handoff have been really messy recently. For you too. I don't think anything's changed. I mean, this Mac is on Mac OS Sequoia. Actually, I was thinking, is it because I was on a beta there? I am on a beta on the iPhone. Maybe it's, well, I don't trust betas. Could be down to me. I may have just spent £200 on a drive that I didn't need. Well, this is a roller coaster of an evening, isn't it? You only use AirDrop for small things. Handoff's been working well for me. I use AirDrop a lot for still images. I'll take a photograph. If I'm illustrating an article, I might well photograph something on the phone, chuck it over to the Mac, get on with it. So like seconds from idea to photograph to publishing and all that stuff. But the videos bits, they can, well, I do go on a bit, so they can be quite huge files. Yeah, I'm back to thinking talk quicker, but also good thing you bought the drive. Oh, Lexar, they've been in the SF card and compact flash business. Very amazing. I never heard of them. Yeah, oh, thank you. I feel reassured about my purchase because it was Kickstarter, so you back it and you're waiting to hear what happens. And it was obviously going to be successful. It was already over 500,000 when I backed it for it. But then it comes to an end and then they take your money and you're thinking, I know they say it's coming soon. But when is it? When is it? I was away for a trip a couple of weeks ago when it would have been really useful to have, but okay. Anyway, right. So backups. Oh, we have 6 minutes left. I don't feel we've descended into as much chaos as we could have done. I mean, we had the whole 321 club. I've got the impression that the 321 club the founder members of the 321 club are even now picking venues and drinks of choice of things. But apart from that, I thought we were quite serious today, and I can only apologize for that. Backups are on my mind because I lost something. What's always on my mind is writing issues. Like right now, I have a big plot problem for something. So that's what keeps me awake at night and things. I would like it if we could talk about kind of writing things as well as technology stuff. But the thing of that, of course, is that I already know what I'm worrying about. It'd be nice to talk about what you're doing, and then we could kind of swap and maybe help each other out, encourage each other out. I don't know. I mean, you've already given me a heist movie idea. Oh, can I just say that's mine now? I know you thought of it, Carl, but it's mine now. I said it first. Dibs. That's the word I'm looking for, and now you're just all looking at me like that. Well, quite reasonably. So, listen, we're almost out of time with this hour. So, I've told you that there will be an iPad 58 keys. I really want you to see that because I'm in an iPad renaissance, and I'm where I'm looking at you now. I have a garden outside. I actually sat out in the garden in the sunshine, having a good time with the iPad, and that'll be well, it's ready, but it's going to be 3 or 4 weeks. Next week, it's going to be all about the new iPhone launch. The way I figure it, you'll know about the iPhone launch. It's not like Apple's going to keep quiet about it. But I write for Apple Insider, and I'll be employed that night writing about it. I'll be really studying it, and I am considering whether to buy something. So by the time we get a 58 keys on the Tuesday for patrons, Wednesday for regular things, I will at least have obsessively studied it from our point of view, whether there's anything worthwhile in the new iPhones or the new Apple Watch or anything else comes along for us as writers. I mean, I know the iPhones aren't built just for writers, but they are. They are really, aren't they? Heist movies, but also with robotic tape handlers. It writes itself. Okay. All your tapes are belong to us. Okay, slightly scaring me there a little bit. And stealing data from a snowball while hacking on Unix. Doing the heist airdrop. Join the heist airdrop. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, I want to do this now. Can we do this? No. What's the date today? It's the 4th of September. Last thing I want to tell you, because this is script writing, and it's kind of on my mind a little bit. There's a group called Studio 21. It's, I think they're UK based, but it's an international screenwriting contest. And until September the 18th, they are soliciting 60-minute TV pilots. And this is a TV pilot, easy, if not a film. The thing of it is, they actually want something that they can put out on TV. It's an hour, that's nice, and becomes a series, but also that every 2 to 3 minutes of it can be put out as a self-contained little film online. And there are examples of that being done before that I don't think worked. So I'm really interested in how do you make it work, what went wrong before, things like Quarter Life and Battlestar Galactica, Blood and Chrome. Yeah, I'm really into the drama side of this. And I have an idea. And I was thinking of doing it just so I could, even if I don't submit it, see what I could do with that form. Now you're making me think. I can just see, Jack Bauer on the back of a truck with a phone next to it and the air trying to get a good Wi-Fi. Yes. God. Okay. What did I say about not falling into insanity? Let's see. And then hand off to the police. Boom. Okay. All right. Of course, we will be playing the heist on Omni Outliner. Thank you very much. Yes, one of my absolute favorites. That'd be really interesting to see. Yeah. If we all do this, what happens? Unmanageable chaos. Okay. Just got to stop in a second, but you put this in my head, and this is a writing thing. I know we're all different writers, right? I don't write like you don't write like me, but because we're writers, we have similar problems, similar concerns, and also I think I can say this to you and know that you'll get it. Whereas if I said it to somebody else, they'd just look blankly. But between us, I love, that's not too strong a word, I love the fact that we just had one idea there and we span off in so many different ways. every one of us would write that so differently, and it's come practically out of nothing. Isn't that exciting? I think we create stories, and we create our own stories, and we've got to see them through. This is why I said earlier about losing your data, it's like losing your life, really. I felt guilty and melodramatic, but to hell with it. Yes, you lose your writing. Oh, can't do that. And on that shuddering bombshell, listen, thank you very much for putting up with this nattering. I love that we dipped into chaos and dipped back out again. We can pretend we're a serious hour discussing it, and we can go off and write heist movies. Love it. Okay. 58 Keys will return next Tuesday for patrons at 7 p.m. UK time, next Wednesday in the regular one for it, and it will all be about the new iPhones and what else. Then the week after, depending on Apple releases iOS 18 to us all and 18.1 with Apple Intelligence and the Mac OS stuff, there might be 58 Keys about that then. But then I think maybe the week after that will be the new iPad one. There's so many things coming up that I want to talk to you about in writing. And every time we talk about it, we don't have to write for a bit. So good. Thank you very much for joining me. Sorry about those buffering things. I will worry about those and see what happens next time. 58 Keys is live on the first Wednesday of every month. Hope to see you again next time.